This is Esther of Esther Command. We are here to serve all of you.
Hello, Asta. Thank you so much for coming through and connecting with us today. It is an honor.
It is our pleasure.
Today, I would like to discuss with you a subject that is very common in the spiritual field, but again, it can be from basic concepts to very complex ones. So, I have many questions regarding the soul, and I would like to get into more details about it. Would that be something that you would like to discuss with us?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So why don't we start by, if you could give us your definition about what is the soul?
Soul is an individual expression of all that is.
Okay, and does it have its own individuality does it have a character? A
Yes, it
signature?
does. It does until a certain dimension. When you go down to lower dimensions, you have more and more of individuality. More and more of different characters. Characters become colorful in various ways. So when the dimension goes higher, such as 9D, souls are no longer individual. They are group souls. You are familiar with 9D Actuarians or Pleiadian collectives or Syrian collectives and so on and so forth. They are no longer individual souls, but they do have individual characteristics, like a group characteristics. 9D Actuarians are the collective of 9D Actuarian souls. They decided to form their groups. So they are no longer having their individuality as, let's say, Mike or Sue. We're just using human name. They are more of the group.
I see, yes.
When
Okay.
frequency gets higher, even that name loses the character. They are no longer Actuarian or Pleiadian when it goes to higher level of the collective. Erica's oversoul is 12D of light. So most of her families are no longer calling themselves with their planet name because it's 12D. So they lost their characteristic as the group of souls. They come from a particular planet and they are merging to other groups. So they are becoming more and more of a group entity from different essences.
So this is what you mean when you say the oversoul? Is that the oversoul? Or is that something else?
Yes, oversouls. Oversoul is a bigger mass of consciousness with high frequency, emanating higher frequency, which is no longer having a particular individual characteristics. Let's say 12D of light, they don't have any memory of they happen to be a parent or they happen to be coming from this particular star or memory of the stars. Well, in a way, they do have a memory as a galactic record, but they do not have a individual memory history as a person. So because they have decided to serve in bigger levels so they can serve better to others, so they needed to shed their own individualness when they decided to ascend. So it's not like Earth humans, they lost their memories. It's not like that. But in a way, they, by evolving to the higher consciousness, it become more of the group consciousness, no longer focusing on by vibrating in individual level. Of course, when the oversoul need to provide a certain particular information of what's happening in her planet and stuff like that, they can. However, that is not their purpose. Their purpose is emanating themselves as 12D of light. And then they are also merging with the other collective to be bigger and the bigger collective. So in order to do that, or by merging to bigger collective, you can really hold their individual characteristics.
I see. I have heard that also on the first density and the second density, again, this is a level of awareness that operates through group consciousness.
Let's
like the plants and the animals, for example. Well,
let's make sure to keep it as a dimension. It will be confusing when you start talking about density. Dimension and density is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So we keep the language as dimension now for this conversation.
Okay, so would you like then to talk to us about how is this the concept that you described about this higher level of dimensions compared to the first and second dimension where the plant and animal kingdom operates, which is also a group consciousness?
Yes, plants and animals are having a different kind of consciousness. Even rocks, they do have a consciousness.
Do they have a soul?
We don't call as a soul, or if we call soul as a consciousness, yes, rocks, they do have a consciousness. So as far as animal goes, they are more of group consciousness. We're talking about wild animals. They do not have very clear idea such as humans are having. I'm Mike, I'm Sue. Not that kind of clarity. They don't need to have a name. They don't need to distinguish one from others.
So they don't have the ego awareness that we humans have.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's say a lion, they understand that they belong to lion group. They can tell the difference between themselves and then their prey.
Yes, yes.
So they can go after.
Yeah.
They understand who their cubs are. They understand who is their particular groups.
Do they have a soul? Do the animals have a soul?
They do have a soul. When a soul comes to Earth, especially some souls who are not familiar with this environment, it is much easier for them to start out from lower dimensions. We're not saying plants and animals are vibrating lower than humans. We're saying it's more simple. The operation is very simple. So it is easier for a soul to getting used to this environment.
Mm-hmm. Is this why
different from other places they are accustomed to?
Yeah.
So it would be too shocking for them to become a human, for example, right away after they transfer themselves from 3D other planet, for example.
I see.
It's easier for them to start out as a rock or start out as a animal first and get used to the place first. And when we talk about pets, they do have a closer consciousness as humans because they can recognize their name. They understand their individual. So that is, in a way, some souls are the training before they incarnate as humans.
Mm.
It's not necessary all of the animals are in the training of being humans. Some of the souls, they just want to experience Earth, so they don't have to be humans to experience the planet. So they choose to become animals, or they choose to become plants, so they can experience the environment, then they just check off their box. Because as long as you exist in this environment, you can feel all vibrations, so you don't have to be humans.
Yeah. What about plants? Do plants have souls?
They do have a consciousness.
Yes, for sure. That because and they are alive, absolutely. But do they have a soul? You know why I'm asking? I'm doing past life regression therapy, and I have had several individuals who go to what we call past lives, and they experience themselves through a plant or through a tree. So I'm wondering what does this mean? You know what I mean?
So if we define soul as a consciousness, they do have a consciousness. But you do seems to distinguish between consciousness and soul. Soul is more of what you have as humans. Awareness.
Yeah, okay. So in a way, it's more the soul is a little bit more individualized. It has its own signature or identity, even if it can be fluctuating and be very flexible.
Yes.
I see.
So if we define soul as a consciousness, all of beings who is alive, they do have a soul.
I see. In my understanding, soul is something like, again, I just said that it's very flexible, right? That it can merge with other souls, and it can also extract itself to different individual souls. Is that true? Is that correct?
It's all about soul contract.
Mm-hmm.
You all have your fractal of souls, which is, in a way, aspect of your soul embodying in human body. It's not 100% of the soul is in your body.
Yeah.
So let's say there is one circle we see as a soul, and then we chip them off and then give that little piece in human body. That's what you're having. So it depends on the soul contract. Some people decide to have merging with other fractals. Depends on the purpose, depends on the journey, depends on the missions.
Okay. I guess you are talking about concepts like soul braiding and soulmates and twin flames and so all these different types of expressions of the soul.
Well, there's no expressions in that way. You place names on each roles because you can't really distinguish one soul over another by vibrations. So you have to name them. When you shift to 5D, there is nothing to distinguish from, let's say, twin flame or soulmate, because by looking at one person, you can tell what this person is. You don't need a name.
You don't need what? I'm not sure if I understand you.
Let's say right now, when there is couple, you call them, they are either twin flame or soulmate or whatever. Depends on the soul contract and the complexity of soul groups. There is a different grouping happening. But let's say when it comes to a twin flame, that is when you think about a galactic level, you have your galactic partner who do your mission with and who you do have a family with, and you've been together for eons of ages. That's what you call as twin flame. But in a galactic level or 5D level, nobody need to call the name because it's very obvious. You look at your twin, let's say, everybody is looking at you too, they can tell what you're all about. And the purpose or mission or grouping is very obvious to all of us. So there's no identity necessary or naming necessary. Soulmate is a couple with same soul group, soul family. They do have a temporary mission when they come to Earth. Usually they don't team up with soulmate to do the mission as a couple. Maybe group of soulmates do the same mission as a group, like 4 or 5 people in other planet, not as a couple who you are going to have family with.
Why not?
Because it's a temporary mission. It's about commitment. It's about when you decide to do something together, but the direction of your soul, how you want to do mission or how you are expressing as an individual is not exactly the same. So when your interests align, you can do temporary mission, but that is not usually happening in higher level, higher physical level. Soulmates are often come together to do the mission as a couple after you descend to Earth. because this planet is not 5D or above, and there's a lot of different coupling involved, and depends on the mission, the matchmaking method will be more free or flexible. So let's say when sometimes twin flame is not available to team up on Earth plane because twin flame is not available in the same plane as you are, or physically cannot be with this person, then soulmate comes in and team up and do the mission. Either way, mission is completed. But when, because it's an Earth environment, there are so many unpredictable situations will happen here. When we serve other planet, things are less predictable. So let's say you don't need any backup or plan B or plan C. So often when you go serve as a couple, most of the galactic beings, they choose their mate, which you call as a twin flame, because you've been together for billion of years, you know how you operate. So it's easiest to work with. And at the same time, you have a family. So it's kind of convenient because having family is not a primary purpose. It's more like tertiary.
Mm-hmm.
First, most important thing is doing the mission. So when you are dedicating your time, even though we have a longer time than humans, but when you are dedicating your time by doing your missions, and your mate will be separated from you, that doesn't make any sense. So usually you do the mission together because you trust each other the most, you know how to operate. So when you go to this strange environment, you can depend on each other while you're having family. So that's most of the galactic beings prefer, instead of tagging up with a temporary soulmate. Usually when they do the mission, they have same desire, so they team up. But for some reason, they don't have the same desire to do a particular mission. Maybe soulmate can step in. But usually, most of the case in 5D and up, those couple will serve different missions as a team. And that's what you call as twin flame. But no naming is necessary because it's obvious to everyone.
Okay, thank you for this clarification. What is the higher self then? Is it the same with the soul, or is it something different?
Same as
The higher self and the soul, is it the same concept, or is it something else?
higher self is different dimension. Now soul as where you are at right now. Let's say if you aspect of yourself is in 3D, your immediate higher self is, let's say, 5D. So 5D of aspect of you is more accessible. So that 5D of you is leading 3D of you.
Mm-hmm.
And 7D of you is leading 5D of you. And then let's say if you happen to have Actuarian group soul as a higher self, 9D Actuarians will be higher self to guide 7D of you or 5D of you. It's about accessibility. So when you go as highest as possible, it will lead to all that is, of course.
The source.
Yes.
Okay, but I still didn't understand the difference between the soul and the higher self.
Higher self is a soul who is vibrating higher than where you are at.
Mm-hmm.
You call as a higher self because vibrating higher,
Yes, yes.
not more.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay, but you said that or it was an example that you said that it's, for example, let's say I operate from the third dimension now, and my higher self, you said it's 5-dimensional.
We're just using as an example. We're not saying your higher self is from 5D.
Okay. Now I understand.
As an example.
Yeah, okay, thank you for this. Now it makes more sense. Okay, good. So I would like to make a statement on something that I have come to understand, and I would like to ask your perspective on it. What I have come to understand is, as every soul comes from source, and it extracts from source, it makes a journey of several incarnations or not incarnations on different dimensions, and when it reaches a certain amount of completion and it learns what it needed to learn, then it goes back to source eventually to re-emerge, finally again be absorbed by source. Is that correct?
What happened is when source, all that is, the prime creator, decided to explore the existence of itself, the source consciousness spread into two. What if there is opposite of me? What if there is individual expression of me? So that's how soul divide up, or we would say consciousness. The soul is such a tricky word. It's better to use consciousness than soul. Because the prime creator is the consciousness. It's not the soul. Soul is more of individual expression.
Yes. You're right. Yes.
So easiest way, when we put it very simple, there is a prime creator, and then one layer away, there is angels. Angels works for the prime creator. They do not have any agenda. They do not have any ego. They do not have any individual intentions.
They serve the creator.
Yes. This is why you find archangels, such as Archangel Michael, in every galactic council or ships. because they are, in a way, this is very confusing to use the word as a mediator, but in a way as a mediator, even though all these galactics know how to communicate with the prime creator, unlike humans. So there is angels, and then there is higher consciousness, higher group consciousness groups, which we call as oversouls. They may have group names, such as 12D of light, because you do need to know the name when you contact with these consciousness. When you operate in much more higher frequency and higher dimensions, you're no longer necessary to distinguish one another by names. You distinguish one another by vibrations, so you don't need to name them.
Sure.
Because each consciousness groups, they have a particular vibration, so you don't need a name. So you just have to tune into a particular vibration and you can tell, oh, this is that group.
Yeah.
This is that group. No names.
Much easier.
Much easier. However, there is oversouls. And then after that, you have each dimensional groups, such as 9D Actuarians or 8D Pleiadians or 7D Cassiopeians or so on and so forth. Or 11D, whatever. The Galactic Federation of Light is a group as well. That is a group of several different consciousness, both physical and non-physical, from different dimensions. That is more of closer to organizations than soul groups. There is several units, depends on the purposes. So when the consciousness spread up from one big consciousness to into 2 or into 10 or into 100, that's how you start naming themselves. Because the more and the more it spreads up, and the more it started to have a character or individuality even as a group, then density also goes down. Then by then, when you go down to 3D or 4D, you have total individualistic awareness. You can call it separation. So the ascension journey is the journey to going back to the prime creator. But let's say when you die, you're not going back to the prime creator. You will, let's use as the example from other planet, because Earth is very different. So when, let's say you are 60 Pleiadians, you decided to have a different experience. Next. So you do carry your memory, you do carry all of your experiences, and you say, you know what, I'm going to experience 70 Cassiopeians this time. I want myself to be expand more as a soul. So you take that consciousness without forgetting anything and incarnate into different body. you don't die from sickness or illness, or you don't even experiencing death.
Yeah.
More of taking one clothes off and changing into another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Consciously.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no fear of death or anything. It's just changing your job from one company to another.
Yeah.
So that's what other beings are doing.
Mm-hmm.
More and more grow to bigger consciousness. So once you become big enough, let's say our souls, they're eventually on the way to going back to the prime creator. Because that our souls will merge with other bigger groups and they become as bigger and bigger consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the ascension journey is not for just humans. The ascension journey is for all.
Yeah. 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 I wanted to ask you something, and I think we will soon close this session because perhaps it's already too much for our viewers to digest. It's an exciting theme, and I have many questions more. But maybe I ask one more question, because you said earlier that when we die, humans, I mean, operating from the third dimension, and we die, we don't go back to source. Yes, indeed, I guess. But again, in my sessions, I have people who they visit source in between lives. So they do that willingly and consciously, and they just go and they have let's say like a taste to recharge, and that's my.
Yes. Because depends on the situation, it's very difficult to be here. And it's important to rejuvenate yourself before you go into another experiences.
Yeah.
So even let's say a galactic soul decided to incarnate as humans, and then very traumatic for many of you. So after you finish the life here on earth, you do need to go to the vacation. That could be going into much easier environment of the planet, or if it's severe, you want to choose yourself to rest a little bit in the great central sun. It all depends.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you're going back to the prime creator. Going back to the prime creator is going back permanently.
You don't move, you just visit. You don't
Yeah.
move in. Yes, okay. And one last question then. Can we humans, from that level of awareness that we are operating now, can we visit source in our meditations? Could we, could we generate such an experience for us?
Yes. Many people, they don't have to be spiritually awakened, but as long as they have this intention, they want to connect with the prime creator, God, they can always connect, because you are connected to the prime creator even though you think there is a separation.
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, how to have, like if, like let's say, like an HD experience, like to really feel this connection with source, just feel it in every cell of our body, and get that recharging, get that energy, being bathed into that energy. How can we do that? With intention, like a meditation or something like this?
Awareness to be with the prime creator requires to have a certain purification of the soul. So when you get closer and closer to 5D and closer to more heart-centered way of operating yourself, it's easier to experience that way.
Mm.
Right now, many of the humans who are experiencing that state is going through near-death experience.
I see.
It's very hard for many of them to experience such a high connection consciously. Some of you are able to do that because you shed enough of density out of yourself.
So it has to do with frequency. The more
Yeah.
we raise our frequency, the closer we are with God, so to say.
We don't say closer.
I mean, in frequency, so we can feel as we are, to experience it consciously.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness to sense the prime creator.
Yes.
Sensing it. Because when you're operating in lower density, lower frequency, we should say lower frequency, then you are so preoccupied about material things and daily things and this and that. It's very difficult to open up yourself to that frequency.
Yeah.
Because you're so preoccupied.
Yeah.
Even though there is a connection always, no matter who you are, all of living beings are connected to the prime creator. Even so, you call other dark side people or dark side beings. They're also connected to the prime creator because nothing comes from outside of the prime creator. Everything is coming from the prime creator. So all of us are connected.
Sure.
However, whether you are aware of the connection or not, it has a lot to do with your frequency level. If your frequency is very low, it's very difficult to aware of the connection.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes, so it has to do with awareness. It's not about getting closer to the prime creator, it's about awareness. Because we are all coming from the prime creator.
Yeah, because I mean we are fragments of source. We are holographic fragments of God. We are all always connected. It's just that we have lost this awareness.
Yes.
Have fallen into density and frequency. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Asta. It was really, really lovely to discuss all these subjects with you. I would love to connect with you also in the next week. Would that be something we could do to continue this discussion?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Master of Asta Command. We are here to serve all of you. Okay. Alrighty.
Welcome back, Erica.
All right.
That was great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So Hara and I gonna do and Hara and I, not just us, with other amazing people are doing our galactic activation event on May 5th. And yeah, that's what we are announcing, right, Hara?
Yes, so we would love to see you there. We would love you to be a part of it, to join us. Erica has already planned many very exciting things. So I'm one of the guests in this event, and I'm going to be doing a channeling. I'm going to channel one of my a group, the Hathors. that they are just gonna speak through me and bring some messages, and I think they're also gonna do an activation in the heart. So join us for that one. And Erica, you are going to channel.
Yeah, I'm thinking about opening up with Aster. That's my plan. Depends on the plan of the guest. I don't know because we have to coordinate the time. But yeah, we're gonna do a lot of activations. We're gonna do a lot of channeling messages, and then galactic lectures and stuff like that. And then Archangel Michael was saying that gate is opening up on that day. So I wasn't really planning to do this event. When me and Hara was talking to each other, he kind of like cut me off when I was talking. Remember, Hara? So I have to tell her like, hey, I'm going to Mikael was saying we got to do the event.
Yeah, yeah.
Middle of us talking.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So it's a donation-based event, so anyone can attend. And then if you guys are interested in attending, you have to register. So go to description box, the celestial star sheet, and then everything you can start doing registration from there. Because you're not gonna see with regular YouTube stuff. It's private.
Yeah.
So you have a ticket.
Great. So I'm gonna have all the info below for the registration, and also for Erica's private YouTube channel if you want to connect with her, and also if you would like to have a private session with her. She's also doing amazing Akashic Records reading. Sorry, I highly recommend them. And thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Erica, so much for today's channeling. It was absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
See you next time. Bye bye.